I've been in this space now for 39 years, and I know we used to really operate in silo. The judiciary alone, the police alone, the DPP alone, the AG alone, and how it was difficult because we kept on blaming each other when things did not work. We never even came to celebrate when things worked. So allow me to appreciate all of you, our development partners, the Law Society, all the actors in the administration of justice, because you have all played a critical role to bring us together in a spirit of collaboration and coordination. And by, we are eliminating competition because we are realizing that we are all owning a critical part of this, we call it chain link. And it is always as strong as it is at the weakest point. And when one is at the weakest point, we are ready to recognize, like we have all recognized. Our weakest point is the fight against corruption in our society, and we must address it, all of us. We called you, our CS, as a special guest because we recognized what you did in Jukwaa ya Usalama. We always do it as the judiciary. You remember in January we had the Judiciary Dialogue Day. And at the Court Users Committee, we are always trying to bring everybody together. But what Jukwaa did was to energize the police, the chiefs, and everybody to take the rightful position at the Court Users Committee. And there they will be asking, why are things not working? So thank you very much for that, because that brought out the need for a complete Marshall Plan for the justice sector. It is an expensive venture for us to build those police stations, to build those courts. The other day, a young judicial officer was giving us our own experience of going to work in those courts where we do not have an infrastructure, and she has to walk with her high heels to a pit latrine with her tight skirt and her high heels. So, I mean, it's the same. So we need this infrastructure, both for the police stations, for our prisons, and for our courts. So allow me to adopt and write on the protocols and say to all of you, thank you for taking time to join us to launch the 2 landmark justice sector documents that define our collective achievements and strategic direction of our justice sector. We agreed along the way that we are all champions of justice, that everybody wants to experience justice, and therefore it is a common good. The Administration of Justice in Kenya Annual Report 2024-2025 and the Monitoring, Evaluation and Learning Guiding Framework for Kenya's justice sector is a contribution and a journey we have all worked together. I want to thank the committees of NCAJ. You have been thanked before, you have been recognized, but this is really your effort because our secretariat is very thin. I've never seen a secretariat that is so thin on the ground in terms of human resource capital and also financial capital, but it is able to deliver so much. let us really appreciate these committees and our secretariat for coming up with many, many documents, including what we are launching today, which embody our commitment as a justice sector to accountability to the people of Kenya and our quest for continuous improvement in service delivery. As we sit here, we should always remind ourselves we are the apex. At the grassroots level, the court level, we have the Court Users Committee that mirrors exactly the people who are seated here. And we must work hard and ensure those court users committees, like the CS has recommended, should work with the Attorney General's kiosk for legal aid, and we must render justice to our people. Because that is what is required of us by our Constitution, that the justice system must be accessible, it must be transparent, accountable, and anchored under the rule of law. This is the vision also of the NCAJ that aligns with Kenya's Vision 2030, including the Sustainable Development Goals, especially goal number 16 on peace, justice, and strong institutions, as well as goal number 17 on partnerships. AG, this approach also encompasses your bottom-up approach vision of the government, because this is the vision of the government that looks at the people on the bottom, the people on the lower end, and seeing how can we ensure they too access justice? How can they be uplifted? How can they live a life of dignity? So for this, we are all together, because what we are looking at is a framework that reminds us that we must be fair, we must be inclusive, and we must be accountable so that we can maintain social stability and we can promote economic growth and foster sustainable development. CS, I'm not afraid of meeting anybody because I'm well-grounded under the mandate that I execute as the Chief Justice. The Constitution of Kenya tells me about the separation of power, reminds me of the oath of office I have taken, and everybody, state officer, including the president, has taken an oath to protect the Constitution. So I'm not scared of any meeting or meeting anybody, because I cannot be compromised. I've always said my independence is not like corona, so that when I meet with the people, they will be infected or they will infect me. We are going to be speaking about the administration of justice, what it is that we can do to strengthen the cogs of justice and the wheels of justice. So anytime, please call us for that meeting as NCAJ. We will come with our agenda, and we will even want to share these reports with the executive, with the legislature, and with the entire Kenyans. Meeting to discuss the administration of justice or the development of this country does not mean compromise. So for us, we have to continue with this partnership between all the actors, state actors and non-state actors, as well as our development partners, in prioritizing justice delivery as a driver of societal development, peace, and security. I meet everybody. I've met development partners, and they have told me they are here to represent the interests of their countries. And none of them is here to report on a failed state. They all want to report on success. So they have come to support us so that Kenya can be a success story. Kenya can be a case study for the rest of the continent where they come for benchmarking. And indeed, I have received in the judiciary many, many delegations coming to benchmark on one thing or another, including this collaboration within NCAJ, because they are wondering how they can have the court users committees, how they can have a children's month like we are in today, thinking about the children in the justice sector. How can they have a strategy that deals with the vulnerable, the SGBV, and the children? So we have many good best practices to share, and we are so grateful for our development partners because they have continued to encourage us. So among the notable achievements for the last financial year was the development of two pioneering frameworks that advance integrity and sustainability within the justice sector. We want to remind ourselves of these two very, very pioneering frameworks: the Anti-Corruption Strategic Guiding Framework for Kenya's justice sector. For us, this marked a major milestone in the sector's collective resolve to combat corruption and economic crimes. The framework provides for a coordinated multi-agency approach for justice sector institutions to prevent, detect, and respond to corruption and economic crimes. This guideline aligns with the National Anti-Corruption Agenda and seeks to strengthen the integrity of our institutional systems, to enhance transparency and accountability in the justice delivery, and promote ethical leadership across the sector. Through this framework, NCAJ has reaffirmed that justice institutions must lead by example in combating corruption and upholding integrity as a means of enhancing public confidence in the sector. I am always asking myself, what can we do to stop Kenyans from giving a bribe? Because we have laws that criminalize corruption, bribery, and all that. We need a national conversations with Kenyans so that we can come to an agreement in one accord that Kenyans are not going to give a bribe, and when they are asked for a bribe, they are going to report it as a crime. My mind goes back to when, in 2003, I think, when the NAC government came into power. And Kenyans themselves took it upon themselves to arrest those bribe-asking police officers on the road. And how I yearn for such a moment when Kenyans themselves will say no to corruption. So we, as the justice sector, must also implement that guideline and say no when they bring to us a bribe. That is what we are trying to do as the judiciary. It's a difficult conversation, but I have told the courts, before you start a session, have a daily briefing, and part of the daily briefing is to tell the members of public that this is a no corruption zone, and what it means is that the judiciary is implementing a zero tolerance to corruption, and no one is supposed to give or ask for a bribe. And because we know there are so many brokers who hover around the court, saying they have been sent by the magistrate, they have been sent by a judge, it reached a point where they even sit in court and they already know the defendant and the plaintiff, and they approach both of them to give them money so that they have a favorable decision. And whichever way it goes, if it goes for the plaintiff, they return for the defendant. If it goes for the defendant, they return for the plaintiff. That is how low we have sunk as a country. And therefore, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we have to say no to corruption. We have to cleanse our institutions and say we are all implementing a zero tolerance to corruption. The second strategic guiding framework that we launched this year was the greening the justice sector. And thank you, Correctional Services, for what you're doing. Thank you, everybody, in what you're doing to preserve our environment, because it underscores the justice sector's recognition of environmental stewardship as a pillar for justice and as a connection to our future generations. It seeks to mainstream climate consciousness, sustain resource use and eco-friendly practices in our operations as actors in the justice sector. This initiative reflects the justice institution's broader commitment to intergenerational equity, ensuring that in dispensing justice today, we are also safeguarding the rights and the well-being of our future generations. The report also records significant strides in enhancing institutional capacity through investment in human capital, ICT infrastructure, and financial management. The report recognizes and acknowledges the efforts being made around the country by all the justice actors coming together as court users committees and grassroots forums that continue to bridge the gap between the justice institutions and communities. Through the court users committees and other grassroots forums, we ensure that we connect with them because we are serving them, we are their servants, and ensuring that justice is not a distant ideal, but a reality. As the Executive Director highlighted, the annual report has identified numerous strategic priorities for the year 2025-2026, because for us in NCAJ, we look more into the future. For us to effectively implement these priorities, we are delighted that we are also launching the Monitoring, Evaluation, and Learning Guiding Framework for our justice sector. Since inception in 2011, the NCAJ has developed, disseminated, and implemented diverse policy, legal, and administrative reforms. However, despite the progress we have made in this reform arena and the coordination of the justice system, one of the challenges has been determining and measuring the impacts of these efforts on the society. We have done all this, but how has it changed the ordinary mwananchi, the ordinary justice seeker? What difference has it made? In the judiciary, we also ask ourselves that question, Honorable CS. How are we impacting positively to the society? How are our judgments and rulings changing and helping our society remain on the trajectory of ensuring there is rule of law, security for everybody? So our monitoring and evaluation running guiding framework represents a cultural shift towards evidence-based decision-making, performance tracking, and adaptive running within the justice sector. By institutionalizing this monitoring and evaluation across the justice sector agencies, we will ensure that progress is not left to perception and rhetoric, but will be anchored in measurable outcomes. And for us, this is a significant step towards rebuilding public trust. Long are the days when we end on independence of the judiciary on the decisions that we make. That independence is spoken in the same wording and sentence it goes with accountability. So looking ahead to the year 2025-2026, we at NCAJ remain committed to deepening reforms and consolidating our achievements and working together to support each other. We have very little resources in the judiciary, especially for legal aid, for our pro bono briefs. But Honorable Attorney General, we have said we are ready to give you that budget, which comes to the judiciary, so that you manage the pro bono, the legal aid services also in the judiciary. Because we appreciate that is your mandate. We just came in to fill in the gap when the legal aid was not working. Now that you have operationalized it, please, CRJ, transfer that budget to her and let her administer pro bono and the entire legal aid services, because that is your mandate. So our strategic priorities will include, among other things, upscaling the fight against corruption, and this I'm happy to note. The IG also, my brother, you were able to launch the anti-corruption committees within the police stations. It's a good step. Let us start somewhere. Digitize the OB so that we know the people who are being taken to the police station, they are recorded in the OB, which we can all track. And soon, you're also going to have a policy on the decision to arrest, like the ODPP as a policy on decision to charge. We are talking about accountability, isn't it? So we are making some strides, and we are happy about that. We are working on the NCAJ bill, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I want to thank Ms. Jedida Waruyu, who has helped us to fast-track that bill so that NCAJ can stand on its own. I can assure you, where we stand under the JES Act, NCAJ, we don't even have a budget. The little budget you give to JSC to run the entire JSC is divided between JSC, NCAJ, and Kenyan Judiciary Academy. But thanks be to all of you, our partners, we've been able to get this far. Madam Jedida Waruyu has worked very hard with the committee that is looking at the NCAJ bill. And I now urge the leadership of the National Assembly present to support us to have that bill passed so that NCAJ can have its own budget, can have its own structure and system that can be able to support all this work of coordination. When I look at the NCAJ, I actually see a ministry, a whole ministry on coordination. So, but without a budget. So please, National Assembly, also please consider, like Honorable Mogaka sent to pass the recommendations that we made on the Penal Code and the Criminal Procedure Code, which were already submitted for consideration by the National Assembly. This will help us. I don't want to go there. You all highlighted. These are colonial relics carrying some of these offenses which are so burdensome to us as a country and also to the people of this country. So as we move forward, we will continue to enhance digital integration. We will continue to promote interoperability of ICT systems. We are willing, as we accommodated Wadirifu and our ODPP, we are willing to accommodate the Attorney General and even the police, the prisons, and everybody, so that we can harness our data to facilitate coordinated, efficient, and transparent justice processes. I also urge all the justice sector institutions to enhance their own M&E functions for effective implementation of this sector's guiding framework. Fortunately, the guiding framework tells us what we need to do in each of the sectors. And to conclude, our collective vision is to nurture a justice system that is people-centered, that is transparent and is transformative, one that upholds the rule of law, protects rights and freedoms, and contributes meaningfully to national unity, peace, and prosperity. This is indeed the essence of a justice system that is provided for in our Constitution and has been reinforced by our strategic and global commitments. I take this opportunity to express my deepest appreciation to all the NCAJ member institutions, the NCAJ Secretariat, the working committees, the court users committees for their handwork and collaboration. We were criticized one time that NCAJ is heavily leaning on the judiciary, but we welcomed everybody. That's why we have the DPP as the vice chair, and we have the council members who are ends of the institutions. But this is by the design of the Court Users Committee that is run by the judiciary that generates all the issues that we deal with. At NCAJ, we always say the more the merrier. Everybody is welcome at the NCAJ. And as we move forward, I urge all the justice sectors and actors, both state and non-state, to sustain this momentum. Let us continue to resource and implement the priority programs outlined in the report and also in the MEL framework we are launching. Let us also embrace innovation, learning, and shared responsibility as we work towards a justice system that reflects the aspirations of every Kenyan. I thank all of you for your unwavering dedication to justice and to the people of Kenya for giving us this opportunity to serve them and be of service to them. May our shared efforts continue to build a just, peaceful, and prosperous nation. I thank you all, and God bless you.
Hiyo makofi haijatosha, nataka tupashe, kupasha ni ile, tupashe, tumwagushie moja, mbili. Asante sana Honorable Chief Justice, asante sana our special guests, asante sana council members. We are indeed delighted for gracing this occasion. We are delighted for the speeches. We are indeed very happy. With your permission, Honorable Chief Justice, and then we'll take 3 photos.